Okay, Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Ladies and gentlemen, good morning, good day. A very warm greetings to each and every one of you. Welcome to PERTAABI's webinar, Innovation is Limitless. And today we're specifically going to talk about the air suspension wheel. And before we start, I would like to remind that this session will be delivered fully in English, and also this session will be recorded. My name is Anissa Kustiwa, and I'll be your host for today's webinar. And on behalf of the organizing committee, we would like to extend our appreciations for your presence today. Also, I would like to acknowledge that this is our first worldwide webinar session, and we have our participant from Indonesia, Australia, and India. And it's such a huge excitement for us, isn't it? And also, a worth noting side note, this webinar is supported by Semesta. Semesta is Sekolah Mekanik Nusantara, which is Indonesian School for Mechanic, established by PERTAABI itself, and is located in Balikpapan, East Kalimantan. We are also honored to have our speakers with us today, Mr. Darryl Crowder. How are you doing, sir?
Very well, thank you.
Okay, thank you. And Mr. Ahmad Hidayat. Do we have Mr. Ahmad today here?
Still on the way, maybe.
Okay, probably he's on the way. Okay, and Mr. Rahman Alamshah, PERTAABI's director. Such an honor to have you here. How are you doing, sir?
Very good, amazing today.
Thank you, looking good. And also a reminder for everyone's here, if you have any questions for the Q&A session later, you can just drop it in on our chat box. You can use both English or Indonesian. If you don't feel confident using English, doesn't matter, we can help you translate it. Or simply you can just raise your hand if you want to ask directly during the sessions. Also, best two questions will be rewarded. There'll be a reward for those asking questions for us today, and it will be rewarded and will be announced in the end of the session. So stay tuned with us. And now, before we move to the next agenda, we would like to invite you all to open your camera, because we would like to do a screen capture for the sessions, I think. If that's possible to do it right now, Pak Tommy. Okay, everyone, open the camera. We would like to see a smile on the weekend.
Okay, I will take your picture, guys. So open your camera.
Okay.
Page 1. Smile on your cam.
Turn on your camera.
1, 2, 3. Okay, wait a minute. And then
One more.
One more.
Okay.
Smile on your cam. 1, 2, 3. Okay, thank you, everyone.
Okay, thank you so much, Pak Tommy. Okay, so now before we begin today's seminar, let's watch PERTAABI's opening video as also an introductions of PERTAABI to probably everyone who still doesn't get the idea who is PERTAABI and what we are doing. So here we go.
berkontribusi untuk negara, menyatukan penguasaan dan kemampuan untuk menguatkan sistem yang berkompetensi. Yang bangsa dirikan berprestasi, utamakan keselamatan di dalam bekerja, berdiri bebas dan saling berbagi, berdedikasi tinggi. PERTAABI selalu utamakan wawasan safety, kerjasama dan saling peduli, unggul dalam penguasaan teknologi. PERTAABI berintegritas tinggi, berkontribusi aktif sebagai mitra, sehat selamat PERTAABI Mr.
Open mic, Anissa.
Okay, so let's give applause for PERTAABI's videos. And
Kalau salahin bahasa Inggris nggak ngerti lagi. Udah mulai.
please, as a reminder, please mute the mic. Okay, thank you guys. And as we are getting closer to our core discussion, now it's time for an opening speech from Mr. Rohman Alamsyah, PERTAABI's director and also the general manager plan at PT HPU. Sir, so I won't hold you for too long because everyone seems so excited to hear from you too. So please, Mr. Rohman, time is yours.
Okay, thank you, Anissa. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you to each and every one of you for being here today at this wonderful place. As the first thing, I would like to express my gratitude and high appreciation to your special ones, seminar participant, organizing committee, organizational board of trustees, and organizational advisory board of PERTAABI. Furthermore, I also express my gratitude and extraordinary appreciation to our speakers today, Mr. Ahmad Hidayat, as member of the PERTAABI Expert Council, and then hello, Mr. Darryl Crowder, as manager of GACW Limited, Queensland University. I hope you are happy, Mr. Darryl Crowder. And I also give an extraordinary appreciation to moderator of today's webinar, Mr. Edwanata Trihandika, and then Secretary General of PERTAABI, Mr. Tommy Nugrahanto, who will accompany the journey of this event so that it runs smoothly and successfully. First of all, I would like to convey praise be to the presence of Allah Subhanahu wa Ta'ala, who has invited us to the webinar forum, which is held online and live on the YouTube channel. I hope through webinar forum we can gather and meet for mutual friendship, mutual exploration, and transfer of knowledge, professional field, learn from each other, and work together to make a maximum contribution in working for the nation for other benefits. Yeah, thank you for today's seminar forum. Was attended by maybe 100 participants who were registered and invited, coming from 36 companies engaged in mining and construction, coming from all over the archipelago, from Sumatra to Papua, and also in the world. Yeah, I heard from India. Yeah, and positive cooperation for our common development in all respects. Yeah, the theme for today's webinar is very interesting. Promoting the use of air cylinder wheel in tire operational management as part of technological breakthrough in the mining operational. And today we will provide good discussion about innovation, no limit sharing with a very competent and world-class speaker like Mr. Darryl Crowder and also Ahmad Hidayat. The entire series of event is dedicated to all of PERTAABI members or observers and mining equipment maintenance actor in Indonesia. Yeah, through this event, we hope PERTAABI can grow faster and produce the widest possible benefit for increasing the competence and superiority of Indonesian human resources. I really hope that through the active participation of you and follow-up step after this event, the benefit can be maintained at any time, anywhere, and any form. Well, I do not want to take too much of your time. I, as chair of this professional organization, say congratulations on enjoying this seminar, and let's to build our nation together through our provision and competence. Again, along with the committee, I apologize for the shortcoming and weakness in managing this seminar event, while hoping to get a lot of input, our suggestion for improvement, for organizing the next event for the progress of PERTAABI organization. Thank you very much. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Thank you so much, Mr. Rahman, for the impactful opening speech. And before we move on, I would like to say sorry to Mr. Darryl and those who don't speak Indonesian. The last PERTAABI's videos was in the Indonesian versions, if I'm not mistaken. But don't worry, we will have the international versions of the videos so that everyone will understand. And now we are coming to the core discussion of sharing session today. And I would like to introduce you to our moderator today. His name is Edwananta Trihandika, or you can just simply call him Edwan. And Edwan will lead today's sharing sessions with our speaker today. Hello, Mas Edwan.
Hello, Vanessa. How's it going today?
Yes, I'm good. How are you doing?
I'm great. I'm so excited about today's topic to all the participants today.
Yeah, sure. Especially this is considering that this is our first online international sessions, isn't it?
Yes, for sure. This is our first international event. Yes.
Yes, indeed. And one more thing before we start, please, if you would like to explain in brief about today's themes so that everyone will have the same clear ground about today's topic. And
Yeah.
That's good. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Great. Okay.
Today's topic is, I think it's very interesting because we're gonna talk about innovation, and as we know, to all of that, innovation is no limits, and we're gonna see something new in tire technology and also how to get a maximum benefit from tires in mining operation. So to all participants, stay tuned.
Okay, thank you so much. Such a brief and interesting explanation. So without further ado, I give the time to Edwan today. Please, time is yours.
Okay, thank you very much, Anissa. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. I'm Edwan as your moderator for today's webinars. And welcome to our online webinar titled Innovation is No Limit, held by Indonesia Heavy Equipment Expert Association, or as we know as PERTAABI. And this webinar also supported by Sekolah Mekanik Nusantara, or Semesta. And on this today, I'm so excited because in this webinar, we're gonna see a presentation about a new technology, which is air cylinder wheel. And we're gonna talk more also about how to get benefit from tire system. As we know that innovation, especially in mining industry, have been rapidly developed. In today's webinar, we will get a closer look into new technology in tyre, including the design, application, and also the opportunities. In this webinar, we also have an outstanding presentation from our prominent presenters, whom I believe will enrich our insight and knowledge regarding the innovation in the tyre section. Ladies and gentlemen, without further ado, I would like to invite on the leader on global air cylinder wheel from Australia with 30 years of experience in mining equipment, maintenance, engineering, and project management. He is the manager of GACW, and I would like to give a warm welcome to Mr. Darryl Crowder. Good morning, Mr. Darryl.
Good morning.
Good morning. How are you today?
Yeah, very well.
Yes, we are really excited about to see your presentation for today.
I'm
Okay.
keen to show you.
Yes, for sure. And also, I would like to introduce to all of you our next speaker, Mr. Ahmad Hidayat. Are you already stay with us?
It's still on the way, Edwan. Just continue.
Oh, okay. Mr. Ahmad Hidayat still on the way, but it's all right. We're gonna give the presentation to Mr. Darryl. Mr. Darryl, please, time is yours.
Okay, I'll share my screen. Okay, can everybody see that screen there now?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay, so today I'll talk about what is the air suspension wheel, its functionality, how dynamically, from an engineering perspective, it's different to a tyre and rim combination. And you'll find there's quite a bit of content. So, and I'm sure there's going to be lots of questions, but if you, and perhaps as a moderator, Edwan, if you could keep all the questions to the end, because many of them I think will be answered as we go, and then we can target specific questions that still need more clarification. This presentation normally takes hours because of the amount of questions I get, and we don't have hours. So I'll keep the presentation as brief as I can, but then happy to engage completely in this forum and post the forum with any other clarifications that are required. So a little bit of background on the air suspension wheel. It's a mechanical wheel. It's non-pneumatic. It has replaceable treads, which get removed and replaced at end of life. The wheel is 100% recyclable. Up to 65% reduction in rolling resistance than you do with your current pneumatic tyre combinations on your vehicles. Extensive or greatly extends fuel consumption or increases fuel consumption, or in the case of electric vehicles, that reduced drain obviously increases the battery life. One significant difference with our wheels compared to your rim and tyre combinations is the wheel lasts as long as the vehicle. So a wheel in this case on that Cat 777 truck you can see in front of you there would go in POS 1 and stay there for the whole life of the truck. It would come off for some periodic maintenance throughout its life, but there's no need for rotation, balancing, swapping positions or rotation. And it's more cost effective than the current tyre rim combination over the life of the asset. And I'll summarize that as we move forward. There's some photos there of wheels fitted to trucks and loaders. So that's a Cat 777 combination on the left, and a Cat 994H ultra class loader, wheel loader on the right. I'll just show some videos as we move through so you can get an idea. I'll mute that one. So this is some brake tests. We've done extensive brake testing with the wheels in every circumstance we can come up with from an operating environment, whether it's loaded, unloaded, wet, dry, inclines, declines, rough roads, etc. This short video is just an example of one of them, and we've got complete white papers written on that for when you're ready to look at them. But what we're able to prove is we're able to pull the trucks up in about 40% shorter distance with the same amount of energy. Meaning by that, regardless of the ground conditions or the loading conditions on the truck, when you directly compare it to a pneumatic tyre combination, we're able to pull up around about 40% shorter distance, or use the same amount of energy to pull up in the same distance. So there's a saving there, certainly to brake life. A little on safety. With the wheels, there's no tyre changes needed out in the field in dangerous situations. The wheels have a complete run flat feature. There's no real risk of fire explosions. The wheels don't get hot, they don't burn, they can't go pop. They've got incredibly strong lateral stability. So there's no tilting events when you get like you do in some of those photos with flat tyres. And you've got a greatly increased traction, so much less skidding. There's some, this is just some short video footage of some corner testing and slaloms we did. Again, these have all been done loaded, unloaded. There's been extensive amount of testing. I think this video is a good representation to show you the wheels in operation. So just a little bit more background on the wheel. It's a steel wheel structure that's engineered to last the life of the vehicle. Each wheel will have between 8 and 12 nitrogen filled air suspension cylinders between the outside drum and the rim, as you currently know it, and interchangeable polyurethane or steel treads. We call them shoes. In the case of the yellow wheel there, that's a Cat 777 wheel. It has 14 bolt-on treads. On the 994 wheel beside it, without the cover plates on the outside, of course, it has 18. So it just depends on the diameter and size of the wheel and the tread composition on how we'd on how many shoes we would have in that process. And as they wear down and they come to end of life, those shoes are unbolted and a new replacement set's bolted on. And you can see on the left, we can do steel boots and that sort of stuff for applications where perhaps you're running in very hot ground conditions, like a slag mill at a steel mill, or some of our customers that are working in high temperature volcanic areas also have hot tyre issues with regard to melting because due to ground temperature. We can change that tread over. A little bit on the durability of the treads. Our treads will last about 3 to 5 times your current scrap life averages on site. And that's due to a multitude of things. The most prevalent one is we can't damage the tyre, like you can't damage your tyre through bead erosion or internal separations and all the failure modes that you currently have on your tyres, and they can't go flat. That's the primary distance why we get 3 to 5 times the tread life, is we actually wear the treads out fully. The tyre itself can't fail, or our wheel can't fail. So they don't overheat. Heat does not affect the structure of the wheel at all. There's very minimal deformation. Pressure differences, etc., don't affect our wheel performance. Load differences don't affect performance. We can also tweak the shore hardness. Sorry, we can also tweak the shore hardness depending on the application. So if you've got an application that's very much cutting, or you get a damage effect through to that sort of thing, we can soften the tread up, or if it's more abrasion issues you've got on your application, we can harden it. And we can also introduce fire retardant properties into the polyurethane or spark resistant properties. In underground coal here in Australia, we've got to make sure that we introduce products called FRAS and that sort of stuff into the polyurethane so it can't spark and create an ignition source. The wheel structure itself, the structure is, as I explained, is engineered to last the life of the vehicle. So circa 100,000 hours for here in Australia. The wheel, the rim and the outside body and all components are made from ductile steel, meaning it's grade, in Australian terms, grade 350 plate, which is a medium tensile mild steel plate. The only pieces within the wheel that aren't that are the air cylinder clevises and the lateral restrainers, and they're a structural grade plate, which I'm sure you're all familiar with, called Bisley 80 here in Australia. And the reason we've done that is that if there's any superficial damage or anything caused from site, they can be repaired on site in your workshop with the conventional welding practices. The wheels don't have to be sent off somewhere else for the fact that they bumped into something or got a dink in them. The cylinders are all rated, have a capacity of around 10,000 PSI. They have an operating pressure of maximum in operation of about 3,000 PSI. So they've got a factor of 3 as a safety factor, but they're only inflated to about 1,000 PSI. So once they go under load, they'll have that operating pressure up to a maximum around 3,000. The reason we've got such a higher capacity is that if one of the cylinders fails in the group for some reason, the other cylinders in that group would pick up all the residual loads, and the operator wouldn't notice any performance difference with his asset at all. Cylinders are sealed against mud, dust, rocks, water, any other impurities that could get into them and damage them. And all of the nuts and bolts throughout the wheels are just stock standard fasteners that you would probably have in all of your stores in your workshops. They're just high tensile bolts and nuts. So if any get lost or misplaced during the service or use of the wheels, they can just be replaced and put back in. Here's some more videos for you. This is the Cat 994 loader or 994H loader. So it's a 57-inch tire combination. And it's a good video to show, you know, if this is that bucket has 44 ton of iron ore in it. And it's ranging through that full range of movement, and you can see how the wheels work. So the whole loader is actually suspended inside the drum of the wheel by the cylinders, and it floats within it. So that has a couple of advantages. The main one being that that all of that transmission and that load, whether you're in acceleration, deceleration, or that lateral bouncing, as you can see there, is absorbed into the wheels. I'll just show you this video again, because anybody that's got experience with these ultra class loaders in this regard would know that if you're doing this with the tires, the back wheels would be lifting off the ground. There'd be no weight at all on them. But that load is actually absorbed into those front suspension wheels, and that shock loading is taken away from the operator. This video here, again, is that same loader, that load moving around a pad or a controlled area in an aggressive manner, much more aggressively than they would use it in operation, but again, to show the effectiveness of the wheels. These same wheels, the same suspension pattern, the same cylinder pattern is used for the haul trucks as well. There's no differences. It's just these are a slightly bigger wheel because of the loader requirements. But if you look at say a 793F haul truck or a Komatsu 830E, it's exactly the same diameter wheel as this. It's about 400 mil narrower. Functionally, it works exactly the same. As an example, with this application, we delivered and were commissioning these wheels, and we were down for 3 weeks of break-in testing to get all the operators familiar, do all of our strain gauging, get all the site comfortable with the operation of the wheels. And I'll turn the operator's voice off. We did an hour of that testing. It was then handed to operations to do their 3 weeks of break-in testing. This video was taken 30 minutes later. They put it into full production. They just binned all of the break-in testing. They were that excited with the performance of the wheels, and it went into full production literally within half an hour of being handed into operations. So they were that excited by how much of a difference it made during the loading activities with these trucks. So I'll go into a high level, just a quick breakdown on the physics of the wheel. I can give a lot more information on this when we're ready to share it. We've got white papers on it, but in essence, the air suspension wheel has a rigid rim, the same as the one that's currently inside your tires now. That's where the changes stop. And the bit for it, everybody's got to get their head around, is it's not a tire. It doesn't act like a tire at all. It functionally looks the same and does the same thing, but the whole loader or the truck is floating inside this outside drum and suspended by those 12 cylinders. Those cylinders, from a ground supported weight point of view, the truck will feel about 70% less weight because it's totally ground supported and it's suspended and floating inside the drum. But that also transfers to the axle, transmission, braking systems, etc. And all of that load is dispersed. So the actual truck or the loader feels around 65 to 70% less load on its axle, on its transmission, on its engine, and certainly on its braking. The stored energy within those cylinders in acceleration, first of all, there's no rolling resistance to push through because you're not pushing through a radial tire. But the stored energy within those cylinders load up and increase that acceleration. So it's about 36%, and we've done this to death to make sure we're accurate. About 36% less energy is required in acceleration. And that's when you're using all your fuel and is acceleration, not when you're coasting along. So that directly attributes to fuel savings on site. We quote to everybody, we're guarantee you 6% reduction in fuel burn. We know it's going to be far in excess of that, but we're trying to be conservative in all of our commitments. But that stored energy also that's what helps you in the braking. Firstly, we've got better ground pressure, so we've got increased traction, but we've also got that stored energy reducing that load on the braking system, and that's why you're able to pull up in the same distance with around 40% less energy. This is just a snapshot on our journey to date. We started working on these wheels in 2011. So it's been a 10 to 12 year period to get us to this point. And the first wheels we put into the field for operational testing was on a Cat 980 loader in 2015. We learned a lot from that, which is that first wheel you see down the bottom there, that black wheel, the second picture from the bottom left. We then moved into 3 variants of Cat 777 wheels, and we were testing lots of things. And basically it was proving all of our engineering and all of our assumptions. So all of these wheels were built to prove engineering and break them or not. The first variant, we just found the operator comfort wasn't that good. There was vibration that the operators didn't like. We then put in damper cylinders to remove that vibration. We had to do a whole heap of strain gauging on the cylinders and on their connections to make sure they weren't going to break. So we went through those processes and improvements to the wheel right through to our current versions now, where we're now fully operational, release ready. And we've got wheels going out into mining houses for use. So all those test results are summarized down there, but we solved the vibration issues, and we're able to prove now to an operator that what he's feeling isn't vibration, because the operators are always saying, I feel vibration, I feel stuff that I haven't felt before. And they do. What they're feeling is no difference to when you put low profile or high performance tires and wheels on your car. You feel more feedback from the road. Your steering's a little more direct. You feel more control when you're cornering and that sort of stuff. It's exactly the same. And once they clock that, the operators enjoy driving it all of a sudden because they can feel more and they feel they have more control. We've obviously had to prove the heat and cut resistant qualities, which we've done. They're self-aligning and auto balancing. There's no need for chains in loader applications at all. We have the same traction, and we just don't have any wear issues or cutting issues that negate the need for chains. The shorter braking distances, I've summarized, 20 to 36% less rolling resistance, high levels of heat dissipation, in that any heat that comes through, the wheels don't get hot in service at all. Even after a 12-hour shift, you can put your hand on the cylinders and they're just warm. So the wheel itself doesn't get hot in operation. The residual heat it will get from the braking and engines on the truck, but that dissipates through the open structure with inside the wheel very quickly. You have a slightly shorter turning radiuses, more direct steering, less lateral sway, and then the feedback from the operators being less vibration and more control. I guess the other significant one, certainly for us here in Australia, is we have TKPH events and slowing down on corners and circuits as tyres get hot during the day. Well, we're able to eliminate those and keep them and maintain the higher speeds. Plus the other key difference in the wheel is a tyre is rated to about 0.15 of a G from a lateral load point of view before you're going to damage the internal structure of the tyre. The ASW will maintain about 10 times that. So we can go up to 2G quite safely in cornering. So you can, what the ability that does is enable you to plan your circuits at what is safest for the operator and most production efficient, rather than limiting it by the tyre capacity. So I just want to summarize some key points and benefits of the wheel. The big one and the biggest one is the no stored pressure management required. You don't have the dangerous situation of having to do tyre changes, which is the most dangerous activity on any mine site is playing with tyres. That risk is gone. The ASW being a flexible coupler, reducing stress and strain on axle, transmission and engine. The reduction in non-suspended weight. There's no tyre management needed. There's no compressed air to deal with. There's no heat or fire risk associated with lightning strikes. No chemicals, no tyre pressure monitoring systems, no tyre storage, no scrapping, no tyre rotation, no off-site tyre repairs needed. You get the improved circuit times plus increased truck availability, and obviously the fuel savings and increased battery life. The fuel savings is the big elephant in the room. It's it's a big number. And there's the wheel in action. So that's my presentation. I have lots more, but I think if we limit it to that, that's enough to get everyone thinking.
Okay, thank you very much, Darryl. Let's give applause, guys, for Mr. Darryl. Okay, please allow me to take some highlight points from Darryl's session. The first one, it's a mechanical wheel. Is that correct, Darryl?
Yes.
And then it will replace a regular wheel. And I think so many benefits compared to the regular tire. Okay, and we have so many questions, but I will pick one question first from Pak Rosmana Eko. Pak Rosmana Eko, you can ask directly to Mr. Darryl. Please open your mic and open your camera.
Hello, Darryl.
G'day.
Can you hear me?
I can.
Yeah, I think you already presented this to my company, Pala Indonesia,
Okay.
with Pak Ahmad. But I want to know when you saw that this SW reduce the rolling resistance.
Mhm.
How about the tread grip to the road? It is possible to increasing the slippery of the road, because in our side here the contour is uphill, downhill. Most of it yeah, muddy road. Yeah, the mining road is muddy.
Mhm.
And the second is how we do inspect or maintain the cylinder to know that it is still have a good condition. I think those two questions. Thank you.
Yep. Okay. So firstly on traction and road conditions, we've done an extensive amount of testing in all the conditions that we can simulate, and measured that traction. And we got a third party to do those audits, so we can give quite a lot of information on that. In every circumstance, we're going to need to make sure we understand the operating environment, but from a traction point of view in uneven, pitted, muddy conditions and very wet conditions, we've done an extensive amount of testing with it. And because we found that we certainly have got no less than tyres in all circumstance. In most cases, we've got better traction. A key part of that is the tread profile, obviously depending on the conditions, but also is making sure that we get the right pressure settings within the wheels so that the ride is correct. One of the challenges we've had with one of our operations here is that they have 10-wheel position belly dumpers, and more traction in their steering is actually a bigger problem for them because it creates the opportunity for the load at the rear to push through and cross up. So we're having to do an extensive amount of testing to make sure we haven't got too much traction. So we found it's the opposite. And it's certainly the case in the 785 through to, so the 51 through to the 57-inch tire combinations we've done testing with, is in cornering and wet conditions, because it's a little more direct. We're finding there's a little bit of training to do with the operators to be a little more subtle with their cornering, because it will corner more aggressively and with the increased traction. So you will see increased traction in that regard, but because of with the uneven ground and the way the cylinders work, the ride from an operator point of view is more stable than it is with tires. You don't get that loping and bouncing that you get, and also, as you well know, when coming out of corners, you'll quite often get that bouncing effect where the tires are bouncing and you get the uneven road conditions. You'll find with the ASW, it levels those out. So it acts more like a roller, I guess, from a principal point of view. But we still need to test it in every operation, and I'm sure we're going to come up against some challenges. But we haven't yet tripped to the point where we've gone, oh, we've got a problem. It's actually been the opposite, is we're having to change operator, I guess, methods based on the increased traction, not the reduction. With the cylinders, from a monitoring point of view, the easiest way to monitor what's going on, as we found, that is with accelerometers positioned within the cab and looking at the normal operation of the asset, and then it'll pick up if there's any change, and we can quickly identify we're loping more on one side, rather than pressure monitoring systems within the cylinders. From a maintenance perspective, the cylinders are a completely sealed unit, so the only way they can depressurize or fail in some way is if they get damaged, and they're contained within bellows. So if there was damage or the possibility of damage, it would be obvious, because you would see damage to the bellow, which was enabling egress of something that could potentially have damaged the cylinders. From a maintenance perspective, the cylinders are rated to run out to about 40,000 hours in between intervention and maintenance. Within our maintenance programs, we've got them being swapped out every 25,000 hours, so about every 3-4 years, depending on your usage on site. And you'll swap those cylinders out for a replacement set and either get them refurbished or just simply scrap them, because they're very expensive. Alternatively, if you do get a failure in the field, you can safely drive the truck back to dump your load, drive your truck back to a workshop when you've got a maintenance day on, and swap a cylinder out. Or you could do it in the field. It would take around about probably less than half an hour to swap a cylinder out with another one. Because they're equally push and pull from each side, you can put them in pressurized. You've just got to center the wheel so that the cylinder is centered, drop the pins out, put the new cylinder in, and reinsert the pins. So it's a relatively simple process in that regard.
Okay, Darryl, thanks for your explanation. I think we can go to another question here from Mr. Feraldi Bahar from Transkonjaya. He asking about, if you look at the wheel drum, they use cylinder filled by nitrogen. The question is why, and what is the difference between oil?
Okay, it's the dampening effect of the nitrogen. The nitrogen you inflate it to say 1,000 psi, and then in operation, depending on the load, the cylinder could be operating at 1,400 to 2,800 psi. So it's all about allowing those cylinders, as they do in your car with your suspension cylinders in your vehicle, to go through that full range of of movement without any shock loading. If we introduce oil into those cylinders, they've become rigid, and we want them to be flexible. They need to be able to bounce and move around.
Okay.
There is a couple in each wheel. There is a couple of what we call damper cylinders, and they're there to take out that vibration and dampen that effect for the operator. So it's, if you had an autonomous truck without an operator, we wouldn't put them in, but they're there for operator comfort. Those cylinders have a combination of nitrogen and oil, so they're a 3-stage cylinder, and they're to take out that peak vibration pieces. But that's the only oil intervention that's in any of the cylinders, apart from lubrication.
Okay. Okay. What I get from you is, I think for nitrogen, it's better to give it a damping to suspension. Is that correct, Darryl?
Yeah, it takes all the rigidity out. Yeah.
Okay. All right then. And then also we're gonna move into the next question from Buma ADT. Darryl, is there any effect to rideability if we use this kind of tire, especially in wet and muddy surface? How the performance will passing undulating road? Is there any structural issue with the tires, such a crack on rim or leaking in the cylinder? That's the question, Darryl.
Yeah. The short answer is no, there's not. The wheel is designed for all application in that regard, and those 12 cylinders, when the wheel comes up against any obstacle, whether it's uneven ground or perhaps a large rock or a wall, those cylinders all work together. Each 12 cylinders has 2 stages, so there's each half of the cylinder is separate and pressurized separately and independent to each other. So there's 24 nitrogen-filled ports that absorb that load together. So you can climb over any rock or any undulation quite safely and easily, and in fact, the driver, for the most part, won't feel it like they do with a tire. It takes that whole lope out. And that was really obvious when we doing with our loader applications, is when you've got a fully loaded bucket, fully extended, and you're reversing over large rocks. It's a very uncomfortable ride with tires because the whole tire lopes over it, and obviously it damages the tire. What the wheels do is they climb over it, they stabilize very quickly, and quite often just crush the rock into the ground and squash it in. They don't spit the rock out, or it doesn't get caught between the rear jewels and that sort of thing. So it's a greatly improved experience in that circumstance.
Wow. All right, that's cool. That's cool. Which country, Darryl, if you don't mind, this technology already been applied?
Look, it's US and Australia, and in Chile, but we chose in October last year to do the full operational release here in Australasia, because between ourselves and you in Indonesia, all of our research has shown that they're the most open to innovation and the new ideas and accepting of the improvements because of the competitive and the challenging environments we all work in. In other markets around the world, say in the US in particular, they're not selling their coal and that sort of stuff on global markets like we are. It's totally used for in-house consumption within their country. So so in essence, that's why we're here in Australia and in Indonesia first. In saying that, we've built wheels now for Chile as well, in gold mining applications and for trommels and that sort of stuff. And we've got a 793F set of wheels about to go on a haul truck in Minnesota in North America in American Steel in an iron ore mine as well. So, but yeah, that's why we're choosing here first for the large scale operational release, because everyone is much more open to innovation in our regions.
Okay. We got your point. And then we can move into the next question. Mr. Eddie Santoso, you can ask directly to Darryl. Please open your mic and video. Hello, Mr. Eddie. Hello. I'm sorry, Mr. Eddie. I'm so sorry. Your voice is not here clearly in here.
No, I can't hear you either.
Yes, we cannot hear you. Okay, Mr. Eddie.
Testing, is it clear?
Yes, it's much better. Your voice is much better compared before.
Okay, sorry.
Please continue.
Yeah, it's nice to see you, Darryl. So again, I'm Eddie from Trakindo, Caterpillar dealer in Indonesia. And I'm also an innovator, but I'm not a wheel expert. So to me, this is a really, really amazing innovation.
Mhm.
You have explained that your innovation can reduce the fuel consumption and then increase the battery life and the other things, yeah. But a quick question from me. How about the total cost reduction? So let's say if this is for 1 unit of Caterpillar 777. So before we use air suspension wheel and after, so how about the total cost reduction? That's the
Yeah.
question. Thank you, Darryl.
I'll quickly show you. I'll share my screen again. I've got a slide ready on that one. I figured it was going to be a question that came up. So let me just do this again.
Very good question.
Yes,
So-
it's very nice.
So this is you can't see the detail, but I'll talk to it. So this is a cost benefits analysis we've done with one of the coal operations here in Australia. I better get rid of that. How to move that on. And in their situation, they have 30 Cat 793, so 57-inch haul trucks. We were able to prove the 6% fuel savings, and the other outcome they had from the use of the wheels was an additional 980 hours of available production on those 30 trucks per year. Their total cost reduction over their current tyre and rim combination, and this is just tyre and rim versus ASW. We haven't allowed for anything from a maintenance opportunity, a production bonus opportunity from dollars. This is purely dollars per hour. Reduce their operating cost by 34%. So from about, and I can't even see the detail here, but it was from about $8.30 per hour for their tyre and rim combination down to about $5.60 from memory. So it reduced their average cost per hour from an OPEX point of view by 34%. In addition to the cost of, stocking all the tyres and everything else, none of that was put into that equation. This is just the raw on-truck costs. And the big elephant for them in the room is 360 less tyre changes a year as well. So their scrap chain life average is around 6,000 hours on these haul trucks. They do about 5,800 to 6,000 hours a year as a budgeted usage. They rotate, as I'm sure you do, your wheels or your tyres from the front to the rear positions throughout that 6,000 hours. So each wheel is coming off and being rotated twice throughout that time, hence the 360 less tyre changes on those 30 trucks. So that's from a very high level, in answer to your question. That's
Yep.
very
Amazing.
typical of the savings. Yeah.
Yes. Okay. Thank you. That's answered my question. Thanks, Darryl. Great.
Okay, thanks, Darryl, for your explanation. Darryl, I want to represent some participants in here. Some of them asking about what if they want to give a try, give a test in the real world situation in Kalimantan, maybe in Sumatra or Sulawesi. How about that?
Yeah. So we're and that's really why we're reaching out, is to say we're looking for partners to do this. As you can all understand, as we move through this process, we're both going to learn stuff in operating in your environment. So there's lots of information for us to learn and lots of information for you to gain and learn as well. So within that partnerships we're looking at is we don't want to do, 6 or 10 of the same wheel combination on the same sort of truck across Indonesia, because if we do have a problem that we need to modify or tweak as we go through development, we'll have to do it 10 times on 6 different wheel positions rather than once. So whoever we partner with to go first, and let's say it's a Komatsu 730 or a 777 or a 785 combination from a CAT point of view, we only want to do one in your region with one of the end users on one truck. And then we jointly do that together. So obviously we manufacture the wheel, we supply it, You buy those set of wheels, but then we work together through it. The guarantee we give whoever does that first is they get all the early production as well. So because once it gets accepted and we get it rolling out, we're going to have a huge order book. We know that. So the commitment we're giving to those early entrants who are doing those first lot of trials with us is that they get all the early production until they don't need any more, and then we offer it to the next level, the next stage of rollout, which is the, I guess your tier 2 customers who are coming second. So it's an opportunity now for any of the mining houses or end users that want to get involved. Because by getting in early, you're guaranteed you're going to get the benefits of it first as well. So it's a bit of give and take from us and from the end users. We know we've got to go through a journey together. The advantage we have now is we've done all the testing. It's now ready for operational release. So it's only tweaking that we're doing to the wheels, and we're ready to go. It's just a matter now of establishing who's going to be those partners over there. We have a very clear intent from my point of view and my board that we're going to have to establish a business in Indonesia in partnership with another company there, clearly, and they would become our agent and our service agent and our distribution sales lead in that country as well. So yeah, we'd be looking to partner with an organization there to roll the wheels out and then support them fully.
Yes. All right then, Darryl. So the point is that the GACW is open for this kind of improvement to give a try in the real world in Indonesia, right?
Absolutely. Yeah.
To give a full support.
Excuse me, Darryl. Excuse me, Pa. I would like to add up what Darryl explained. I'm working to support Darryl here in Indonesia.
Yep.
Yeah, actually, in Indonesia, we are having aim to develop, because we are an engineering company, the air cylinder wheel for 2700 R49, which is representing 82%, at least 82% OTR market in Indonesia. So we see there are two segments in Indonesia, is coal application and mineral mining application. For mineral mining in nickel, we are having one candidate to agree to see the consideration to use our technology. And in coal, we are still discussing in one of the biggest mining contractor in Indonesia. I think everybody knows who they are. Yeah. So that's the entry point for us to work in Indonesia. We will start for 2700 R49 first. Thanks, Pak.
Okay, thank you, Pa Ahmad, for your explanation. I think we can move into our second section. And let me introduce you, ladies and gentlemen. Our next speaker is also known as a tire expert with more than 23 years of experience in tire maintenance and management. He has extensive experience in tire system and manufacturing and has worked for Brixton, Toyota, Pama Persada, Semen Gresik, and many various companies. He was joined in PERTAABI since 2022 and assigned as expert member council for all related tire. I give it a very warm welcome to you, Mr. Ahmad Hidayat. How are you today?
Thank you very much. I'm fine, Pak.
You're ready to give a presentation to all of us about innovation in tires?
Sure. So for this, because I have problem in my computer, Darryl, can you help me to present my material that I have sent to you? Please, Darryl.
I'll do it right now. Just give me a
second.
second.
Thanks, Matt. Sorry for that. Something
unexpected
happened this morning.
So the presentation will give it by Darryl?
Yes. I have shared with him before.
All right then, Mr. Darryl.
Just give me 2 seconds. I'll just get it.
Sorry,
saved.
you are not my operator, Matt, but I have to do that because I have problem in my laptop.
Okay, here we go. I'll share my screen.
Take your time, Darryl. Okay, Darryl. The floor is yours.
There you go,
Yeah.
Ahmed.
Okay, thank you very much. This is a continuity of what have been presented by Darryl is that's technically we explain. Yeah, but now I'm come down or deep dive into what is the benefit to us, or at least promising to us why we have to consider the air cylinder wheel. So I give the title is what to expect from air cylinder wheel. Please go ahead, Pak Darryl. Sorry, Matt, please continue. Okay, so the agenda is we are talking about the impact of air cylinder wheel into the, I think this factor is very important to us, especially we are Indonesian Heavy Equipment Expert Association regarding the safety first. Second, because we are working for the company, so we have to consider the economy or the value from this technology. And the third is because everybody have to comply with the people, planet, and product. We have to consider what is the environment impact with this air cylinder wheel. And also the fourth is, it is very important for strategic decision making, is business flexibility option. I will explain one by one on this. Please go ahead, Mike. Yeah, it's safety. First is regarding the safety. Why we talk about safety? Because we know the people who are working in mine, especially handling the tires, the tire is like a latent bomb. It can happen, explode. It can happen, hit the people. And even several months ago is lately just happened the accident in one of nickel company. The tire maintenance is got fatality. Yeah, so please go ahead regarding this safety. It is very important for us. And this one I try to present. It is the data coming from US, because with the availability of data, US much more comprehensive in representing this data. So most of the time is exploding or blowout of the tire could cause the fatality. In year 2000, we remember what happened in Adaro mining, for people having fatality as well. And also mostly also the auxiliary object mean the tools to handle the tires. It can cause the fatality as well. But the most important is who got the fatality. Please go ahead, Darryl. If you see, I would not explain to everybody regarding one by one, but the most important, the most impacted by conventional tire rim wheel assembly is the maintenance guy or tire maintenance guy. 60% more got fatality from our own colleague in maintenance. So the tire is like a latent bomb and having high risk to the people working in mining site. That's something concern why we should consider this air cylinder wheel. After the safety, because safety is number one, no production. If there is no safety, no production. Okay, so go ahead. In terms of the economy or business value, please go ahead, Darryl. Efficiency, like Darryl explained, is less rolling resistance, mean less fuel consumption. And we have challenged because of B35, then the power is less because of B35. So if the power of less, we have to compensate in tire side or wheel side is to reduce the rolling resistance. So the lowering power is not so impacting if the rolling resistance low. Second, this is non-pneumatic. So compressor system no need, and TPMS system also no need. My experience selling TPMS is at least 2,000 to 4,000 US dollar per unit of truck. So if you have 100 truck, you see 200,000 only spending for the TPMS. Yeah, but with this air cylinder wheel, this requirement is 100% eliminated. So you have integrity on your wheel without spending more money for TPMS. And also because the air cylinder wheel is stored in form of segmented assembly, means they can be stored in your warehouse in form of the box instead of the tire, which diameter can reach 2 meters. With big warehouse, you will have a requirement space for warehouse is smaller. And regarding the performance, and this is my core, actually my core job when I support the customer, is to make sure that the operation not more than TKPH limitation. Using this air cylinder wheel, no more TKPH limitation, or at least increase the limitation for the TKPH, mean the tire can do more trip and can produce or transport more overburden or coal in one shift, the same shift. Yeah. So in terms of economy, it is promising, happen in efficiency and also in performance. It means lowering the cost but increasing the productivity. This is something quite difficult if you are only doing the conventional and improvement area using whatever the method. The capacity of people is limited to improve the productivity, maybe maximum 30%. It can achieve 2 times, yeah, in terms of economy. And go ahead, Pak, mate, Darryl, in green economy. I'm more in green economy first. Before Darryl is up. Yeah, this one in green economy. This air cylinder wheel is compared to tires. This one is designed until the lifetime of the truck. Let's say 50,000 hours. So you don't need to change in between the air cylinder wheel. The only thing is around 20,000 of wheel life, we have to replace or change the thread. The thread is something we can add up or remove. So in this thing means that the waste you are producing in your mine site is very minimum. Meantime, the steel or aluminum, because we can use steel and aluminum depend on the requirement. For sure, aluminum will cost more than steel, but this one is fully recyclable. So for the wheel, there is no waste. For the thread, waste is very limited. Not like the pneumatic tire. It must be recycled, but very difficult, yeah, because you are in remote area. Okay, then the next. This one may be something can change the business model of we are working or vendor working to support the mining contractor of business model. Please go ahead, Darryl. Yeah, in this thing that because the air cylinder wheel can withstand until the end of the vehicle life, means there no need to change every, let's say, 10,000 of hours. This can be until the tire is scrap. Economically, is not giving. There is no value, book value. Yeah, this one until the unit is scrap means that there are somebody who can have initiative, yeah, to rent this wheel to you. So for you as a mining contractor, you can avoid to spend or expend upfront. This one from upfront investment, which is requiring so much cost, become the operational cost that you can pay every month or every year. Is up to you with the business vendor possibility. Yeah. Then I have discussed with some of this potential. There is several or few people or few company agreed to become the renting company for this wheel assembly. So it give a very good flexibility for you, whether you have enough money to fund your starting operation, or you can avoid those amount of money to have a renting, so become the operational cost that you have to pay month by month atau per month or per month. And also maybe this one very popular, I wish to put up that now almost all of you, it's very difficult to get the tires, right? Yeah, because tire is subject to import quota limitation by the government. By having this, at least for the time being, you are safe and get support from us to replace some of the tire or maybe critical equipment, even though we are still limited. I mean, for the 2749, but this is the main equipment here in Indonesia. Means there are some possibility to fill up when the government policy not supporting 100% or not giving a good room for your activity. That's something maybe I can share with you, that not only technologically promising, but as well it can solve some business issue what you have or you face in your operation. That's all from my side. Maybe we are open to discussion for this value. Thank you very much.
Thank
Back
you,
to
thank
Pak.
you. Thank you very much, Pak Ahmad, for your presentation. This is very interesting because the first one, before we jump into the economical factor, the first one is we talk about the safety. Like you
Correct.
said before, the tire is like a bomb. So
Correct.
this one is different. So the number one is about safety. Is that correct, Mr. Ahmad?
Yes, it is all number one is safety. Safety is about us because we are working in the field, right?
Yes, correct.
We are a
That's
Heavy
correct.
Equipment Expert Association. We are considering ourselves, and then property of the company, right? So
Yes.
without safety, there is no production. I remember what Pak Rohman said: no safety, no production, right, Pak Rohman?
Yes, we all of us
Yes,
agree on
correct.
that statement. Okay, thank you, Pak Ahmad. And then we got a few questions about this. I think we can open the mic and the video. Maybe the first one is Pak Triyono. Pak Triyono, maybe you can ask directly to our speaker, Pak Ahmad and Darryl. So feel free to open the mic and the camera, Pak Triyono.
Don't forget to mention from which company and which function, so we can understand the background of the question, Pak.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Ahmad, for the chance. My name is Triyono. I work at Buma as a tire planner.
Okay, tire planner ya, Pak.
Yes,
Okay.
as a tire planner. My question is, how long the lifetime of the air suspension wheel? I mean the maximum lifetime, sir. And if it calculated, how much is the cost per hour? Yes, I think that's my question. Thank you.
Yes, a very good question. I think try to answer first. Before that, Darryl give further explanation. Yeah, Darryl. So we said that this air cylinder wheel is designed until the end of life of the vehicle.
Oh.
We are only in the middle of that, change only the thread. Yeah, change only the thread. But how many hours is depend on the portion, depends on the application, depends on the maintenance. That's why before we are fitting our air cylinder wheel, we will come to see the operation of the customer to make sure that we design the right the right air cylinder wheel, and we will put the right thread. Please, Darryl, to add up.
Yeah. So the I guess I'll answer it a couple of different ways. One is your cost per hour question. We've done the model on Cat 777 and Komatsu 730 combinations. It's around about, in the examples in Australia, and I can't talk in your currency, but in the examples in Australia, it's around about 25% less than your current cost per hour, or that you would, the metrics you would use over the wheel. From a payback point of view, you would expect that you would completely pay for the wheel and turn it into a profitable or a money saving point of view from sheer cash flow at around 36 months is about that time when the capital outlay is saved by the savings in the wheel, and it starts banking some savings. So I hope that answers your question, but it's also, wheel is rated out to about 110,000 hours, which exceeds the life that you're probably applying to your trucks in any case. But in essence, the wheel would pay for itself and become profitable compared to your tyre and rim combinations currently at around 3 years. So as long as you had more than 3 years life left in your asset, it works from a dollars and cents point of view to switch over.
All right. Thank you, Darryl, for your explanation. So basically, the cost is lower. It's very interesting. And your Pak Ahmad statement is the lifetime is the same with the unit. It's a very bold statement, and it's very interesting to see this technology in Indonesia. And then we can go into another question. Maybe somebody just give it a hand raise, Pak Edi, if I'm not mistaken. Is that you?
Yes.
Pak Edi, please
Yeah.
feel free to ask to our speaker.
Sorry, I have to submit my second questions.
It's okay. It's
No
okay.
problem, Pak.
Yeah.
Apa Kareba?
Feel free.
Mr. Ahmad, my neighbor. Yeah, the first one is about my statement. Yeah, so this is again, this is amazing innovation. This is also answer our concern about environmental according to tire waste. Yeah, because Pak Ahmad said that this is really minimum waste. Yeah, but my
Correct,
question, actually, this is a quick question, Pak Ahmad. So you know that currently we have difficulties to import tire based on our current government regulation. So is it impact to your product as well, Pak Ahmad?
Yeah, actually, Pak. Actually, for these for tires, is there is SS code, yeah, for tires, pneumatic for TG4022 something lah. But for this air cylinder wheel, to be honest, I don't know yet which will be classified into which SS code, Pak. Can you share, maybe you have research on the SS code for our air cylinder wheel? Because it's not pneumatic, right? And non-rubber as well. We are using polyurethane PU for the thread. Darryl, could you help us? Because the question from Mr. Edi is from Trakindo, Regional Manager Makassar, asking about the SS code. It is something I don't have yet the experience for the air cylinder wheel. Please, Darryl, help us.
We had a look at the classifications that the wheels would be classified as, and they're classified in the same category as wheels and rims being supplied into your country, which have no limitation. So they're not categorized in the tyre category at all. So they're not under any import restriction in that regard. So I don't perceive any issues at all.
Yeah, very good explanation, Pak Edi. We are not classified into pneumatic tires. Instead, we are classified more into the wheel and rim. It means there will be no limitation. And so, as well, because Pak Edi, we are an engineering company, like Darryl explained to us before, is we are open to work with the company in Indonesia who are keen to manufacturing our product in Indonesia.
Yes, correct, Darryl?
Absolutely. Yeah, we need to partner with manufacturers locally because we believe also there's a real opportunity to get components manufactured in Indonesia that we can then put into our wheels in Australia as well. Because you
And
will be
this
more
is good
efficient
news
in
for
some
you,
ways than
Darryl.
we are in other ways. So yeah.
This is good news for us also, Darryl, that if we can manufacture in Indonesia, means our local content
Yeah.
will be higher. Yeah, Pak Edi, ya. If
Yes,
our
absolutely.
local content
Absolutely.
higher, then maybe the tax will be less.
Yes.
That's
Big,
something, and
big
also
opportunity.
creating the new opportunity for people to work. And hopefully those people is mostly coming from PERTAABI lah.
Ah,
Amin.
okay.
Yeah, that's the explanation, Pak. I think there's answer to your question, Pak Edi.
Yeah, really answer. That's good, Pak Ahmad. Thank you, Pak Ahmad, Darryl.
Yeah, thank you, Pak.
Great.
Yes, thank you, Pak Edi Santoso from Trakindo. Pak Ahmad, I think it's very interesting because this one is not classified as a tire, but is classified as a rim. So it should be no worries
import limitation.
whatsoever. No limitation.
No import limitation, correct.
Yes, no, because you know, currently right now we had some issue in there. So this is very interesting. And I heard from you also this you pay as you go. Is that kind of subscription or something?
Yeah, that's like I explained as business flexibility. Because this air cylinder wheel can withstand until the end of life of the unit. Means there is possibility for the vendor, your mining vendor, your company vendor, to do like a renting. And I have discussion with some renting company, quite big enough. Everybody knows if I expose this company, they are keen to do the renting to mining contractor company.
Wow.
Means tire as a service or wheel as a service. Means
Wow.
you don't need to upfront investment, yeah? And you don't need to build up stock. The problem in mining contractor is build up tire stock maybe until 1 year. Especially when we have experience now, is everybody said until August we will lose our stock, right?
Yeah.
By having
for
this,
sure.
means the stock can be built up by the renting company, and you just pay as you go. How many hours you use this system, then it's okay. Because in tire industry, pneumatic one, we could not rent. Why?
Yes.
Because there are three iron triangle. Yeah?
Yes.
The proper tire, proper usage, and proper maintenance. For pneumatic tire manufacturing, we could not control, proper maintenance and proper usage. We just only control the proper product. So how come you cover 100% when you only can control 33%? This one because there is all possible like lower pressure. There is no lower pressure. So we make sure that everything is starting as our requirement from the manufacturing point of view.
Yes. Yes, and also it's good for the environment, because
Yes,
we don't
correct,
need to
sure.
about the waste, about the used tire. It's also a big issue right now. Okay, thank you, Pak Ahmad, for explanation. I think we can go into. There's so many interests about this. Maybe we can go to Pak Toto Adityo. Pak Toto Adityo, you can ask directly to Pak Ahmad and Darryl. So feel free to open your microphone and also open your video. Halo, Pak Toto, Toto Adityo. Halo, Pak Toto Adityo. Are you still here?
Lost signal because in mine side.
Maybe so. Maybe so. Pak Toto Adityo, final call. Okay, Okay. I think I can read his questions to Darryl. Hi, Darryl. The question is how far the GAWC can be running, because each tire has its own TKPH, ton kilo per hour.
Mhm.
So, because of the tire have their own ton kilo per hour, so how far the GAWC can running?
Yeah. So the TKPH calculation doesn't apply with the ASW because of the structure of the wheel. So that whole metric around TKPH in essence doesn't apply. You can't use it. So you can run at what it's efficient for the vehicle or the asset in its operating environment with its loading parameters and everything. We need to do a risk assessment, which is a site-based. We've done a third-party risk assessment already to support local and site-based risk assessments, but that would need to be done based on the operating environment, knowing you've got a wheel now which can maintain about 10 times the load and has no speed restrictions as well that your current pneumatic tyres do. So it really means you're operating to the safe aspects of the equipment rather than the limitations that are imposed on it by tyres, which is really important because from a tyre point of view, whilst it may be safe to go around a corner at 20 kilometres an hour with a tyre, you could effectively go around that corner as fast as you wanted to with our ASW, but all you would do is transfer the problem somewhere else on your truck, which I'm sure a fellow from Track Indo will cut in and say, hold on a minute, you're going to break our truck, or you're going to damage our suspension, or we're going to get chassis cracking. You know, there's going to be lots of other forces imposed on the vehicle. So the critical thing is to make sure that the vehicle is operated in a manner that it's designed to do so. You're just not going to have limitations put on you by the pneumatic tyre, which you currently do. So yeah, whilst you can do more, you've got to be very careful you don't just create a problem somewhere else. So we've got to work very closely with the OEMs to make sure, and with our customers, to make sure we provide the tools that it's very easily recognizable that just because it feels better to go around the corner quicker and it feels safe, doesn't mean it is for the asset. So we need to do a whole risk assessment in that place. And that's really a big part of our local integration in every application on every mine. Because as you all know, you all operate your sites differently with different road conditions, and different operating parameters and different loading equipment, and different size trucks. So it really needs an individual-based risk assessment for each application, particularly in the early rollout stages.
Yeah. Thank you, Darryl. Ahmad.
Can I add up the explanation from Darryl? Yes,
please.
Like previously I mentioned, there is no TKPH limitation. Maybe the people ask why. Yeah, the big why. The big why is first, actually, what is the TKPH? Even though the name is ton kilometer per hour, this is a combination between weight and speed. It is actually the index of heat generated or heat generation. Yeah. So how big the tire can withstand the heat generating because of their mechanism to support the vehicle. Yeah. The mechanism to support the vehicle. The pneumatic tire working by flexing the sidewall, and then there is differential pressure that make the tread is deflect as well. So that's the coming heat that can make separation between the casing and the tread. That's what we call the heat separation due to TKPH limitation. In our case, the one who flex is not the wheel, but the cylinder and the damper. So there is no friction or not the heat generation on that, even though the heat generation, because of steel, the inductivity is good, conductivity is good, then the heat dispersion much better than in the rubber, because rubber tend to become an isolator, right?
Yes, correct.
In terms of heat dispersion, rubber is more heat retention. We are more heat dispersion. And the tread depth, there is no deformation during the working to continuing the torque or the traction. So that's why there is no TKPH limitation, means more trip. more trip. Because I have faced the problem when our trip is limited by the TKPS generated in KPC Sangatta. For coal transporting, they are using 777, yeah, CAT 777 or Komatsu SD 785. At that time, I was discussing with the Kling. Then we decided to reduce the tire from E4 to E3 by taking the risk that our cost per hour will increase, but our productivity much more increase.
Yes.
There's something we have to do something as well. But in here, from the beginning, the TKPS become no limitation at all. And in mining, not engine become limiting factor, but the tire is limiting factor. This is something we try to do and change. That's why we said innovation become no limitation of TKPS. And of course, we have to be prudent, like Darryl said, that we are coming to make risk assessment as well. How much the risk? Yes. Hello, Pak. Yeah, Pak Toto, Pak Toto, right? Yeah, please, Pak Toto.
Halo, tes. Pak Ahmad.
Yeah.
Hello.
Yeah, hello.
Yeah, this is correct. This KPC in more TKPS is very big. This is correct example lah. Correct the KPC. I'm agree about your answer about the TKPS. Okay, thank you for the answer.
Pak Toto from KPC, Pak Toto.
No. I am contract with KPC in Advan Tire. So I have know about the TKPS is more than maybe 10,000 up lah ya for the TKPS.
Yeah, that's why we are reducing Selawat tire. Yeah, but for this, we can eliminate the issue of TKPS, especially for coal hauling. Yeah, coal hauling in the KPC is very long, right?
Yes, correct. It's very long. Yes, make the HD maybe 785 yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, 785. For coal hauling, they are using 100-ton truck, like CAT 777 or SD 785. Thank you, Pak Toto. Answer your.
Thank you, Pak Toto.
Thank you.
Pak Ahmad, I want to ask you questions about, can we combine? Maybe in the front we can use the air suspension wheel, and the behind we still use the pneumatic wheels. Can we do that?
Yeah, let me answer first before Darryl give additional information. Yeah. Actually, if we are talking about the hauling truck, in the front, the KPS requirement is higher. So if we combine, in front we put air cylinder wheel, and in the rear put a pneumatic tire, no problem, because the TKPS value for the air cylinder wheel can be set unlimited, right? Then if they are already very good in front, then for rear, of course, it will even better, because from the rear tire position, this requirement is lower, right? Please, Darryl, you can add up my answer, Darryl.
No, you answered that very well. The only critical piece is that if you've got it on the front, you need them on both wheels, or if you've got them on the rear, you need it on all four positions. But there's no reason you couldn't have front and rear separate if that was an application that was deemed appropriate.
Yeah, correct. I agree as well, Darryl. If we don't put 100%, then maybe the benefit is not so significant. Because one side is very good, but the other side can have a problem. Tire blowout, for sure, yeah. Tire blowout, tire damage because of cut, because of puncture, whatever. We don't have any issue on sidewall cut. And if we have issue in tread cut, maybe 1 or 2 lung, because we are segmented, then you can stop and changing only the lung tier. No need to remove all the assembly.
Okay, Pak Ahmad, thank you for explanation. And also that Darryl mentioned that there is a significant characteristic to the performance to the unit. So do we need to an extra training to the operator? I mean the unit operator and also the mechanic maybe? What do you say about that?
For this, I let Darryl to answer because we are working with the Caterpillar and Komatsu as well. Yeah? So
So
it will be minimize the problem. Please, Darryl, go ahead.
from an operator perspective, not so much training, more familiarization. So it's just, we would spend time with each operators. We'd run in a classroom, you know, probably a half an hour familiarization, just so they understand what the wheel does and what it looks like, and then a familiarization on the truck. And it's really around how much more feedback they're getting from the road. So the operator experience is different. It feels like they're jumping into a sports version of the car they drive every day.
Yes.
It's got a little bit tighter suspension, or steers a little bit more directly, or they can feel the road a bit differently. So it's really a familiarization, not a retraining. From a serviceman point of view, the same tyre handler is used to load to fit the wheels as they currently do. There's no change needed to the tyre handler at all. The bolt, the retorquing procedures, all of the standard tyre fitting procedures in that regard is no different. The only difference is there's no tyre or inflation process they need to go through. And swapping out the treads would typically be done in your main workshops rather than the tyre bay as well, because you don't have to isolate the vehicle because of the compressed air version again. So the tyre fitter's role is still there. It's just a different role, and it's certainly a much safer role.
Okay. Thank you, Darryl. So this is all about familiarization. It's no need to retraining to the operator, right?
Correct. Yeah.
Yes, and also I want to ask, maybe on a daily basis in the tire section, we check the pressure on the tires, and how about in the air cylinder wheels? What do we check?
The only thing you would check would be, as you periodically do now, would be your tread wear and your tread condition. So that would be a weekly inspection, or maybe a shift inspection, depending on how often it's deemed in your programs on a site-by-site basis. As for checking the pressure settings within the cylinders, they're a sealed unit. They're either going to be fully inflated and functioning perfectly, or something has hit them and damaged them that caused them to deflate, in which case you would notice that through other maintenance and that sort of thing. So there is no need to check pressures. They're a sealed unit. They can be adjusted and that sort of stuff, but you would only do that when you're doing maintenance on the truck in your maintenance bays, when you do engine maintenance and that sort of stuff. We've also got inspection ports on all the outside of the wheels. So when you're doing your daily oil sampling and all those other maintenance things, you could have a weekly inspection. And certainly during the early days, you'd be doing it this often. But you may want to, while they're doing that oil sampling, pop one of those covers off, stick a ball camera in, have a look around to see if there's any telltales that there's any issues. But the only feedback you get from an issue would be from an operator saying it feels wrong. But for them to feel something, it would have to be significant, because you can literally take a complete cylinder out of the group and the operator will never be able to tell in operation. So it's it's from an inspection point of view, you would do it when you're doing other maintenance as part of your maintenance program. There's no need for any other intervention.
Wow, that's amazed me, because we don't need to check the pressure again. It's just like in the usual tire and everything. So your suggestion is to check the Pratt every week?
My suggestion in the early days would just so that your reliability engineers and that sort of stuff on site would be happy, because they'd probably want to be looking in there once a week just to satisfy their own curiosity. But ultimately, the program is that your periodic tread thickness, and then when you've got other maintenance going on in your workshops for engine maintenance and oil changes and that sort of stuff, you would use that time to simply take off the inspection ports with a ball camera and do your inspection. Apart from that, it's every 25,000 hours. So at a 25,000, first 25,000 hours, you would remove the cylinders and swap them, which would take about a shift for all the wheels, for the 6 wheel positions. At your next 25,000, so at 50,000 hours, the wheel would come off and go through an NDT process, the same as your rims do now. And the cylinders again would be swapped out. And then at 75,000 hours, you would go through that same process of swapping the cylinders out. And then the next one, the wheel would be scrapped with the truck. And the treads would be replaced on an ad hoc basis as you wore them down. So if your scrap life average is currently 6,000 hours, you know, at around about between 3 to 5 times that, you would be unbolting and bolting on some treads, which takes, you know, 10 minutes per tread segment. You've got 14 to do, so it's not a big job.
Okay, thank you, Darryl.
Also,
I
would like to add up what Darryl explained. Don't worry, what Darryl explained, we will build up the preventive maintenance schedule for each system we fit it in our customer, right, Darryl? So don't worry about that. Hi, Darryl.
Okay.
Hello, Darryl.
Maybe
I got you again. Sorry, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm back.
Yeah, Darryl, I explained to them what you explained probably just now. Please don't worry because we will develop what we call is preventive maintenance schedule.
Oh yes, we've got that
each
for
customer after we have the doing the risk assessment, so we know the typical operation they are facing day to day.
Yes.
Yes.
Correct.
Maybe last question to Pak Ahmad. I want to talk more about the economical factor.
Yes,
what's your thing, maybe your study or everything about the return of investment to the mining contractor, to the mining owner? How about that? Can you explain to us?
Yeah, not only explain. We already developed for that. So the data is in Darryl. We can share, Darryl, the data when we can have a return on investment. Please, Darryl.
Yeah, I can. It's again, we give you a model to use with all of our wheel costs, and then you overlay, or the site would overlay their site specific information around their tyre costs, their scrap life averages, the time it takes to do tyre changes, all of those sorts of things. And so we can develop an ROI model that's specific to every application and every site. So we've got all those templates ready to go. They've been tested extensively now in operations here in Australia. So we're confident the models work very well. The only thing we've excluded from the ROI models is we limit the fuel savings to a very conservative number. So there's a huge uplift, but you can adjust those in your models as well. And we don't take any allowances for maintenance savings and that sort of stuff on other pieces of the asset, the benefit of the wheel, or increase payloads, or increase circuit times, or decrease circuit times and the benefits and everything. So the ROI model is specifically comparing our raw wheel against your raw tyre and rim combination. And where we're being very conservative with it is if we actually put the real numbers in, it actually makes money. It doesn't cost anything. The savings are well over 100% over what it's currently with your tyre and rim. So we're very conscious to water that down and delete that down so that it doesn't look unrealistic from an approval point of view, and there's a big upside. And that's really the commercial advantages that every operation will have, and they want to keep that to themselves because obviously that's their commercial benefit. So we're very careful about how we're doing those ROIs. But once I get in discussions, once we do a confidentiality agreement together, I can share a lot of that information, and you can build your own models on a site or operation by operation scenario.
Okay, thank you, Darryl. Thank you, Pak Ahmad. I think that's enough for write up to our discussion this morning. And ladies and gentlemen, finally, we come to the end of the presentation. I would like to say thanks again for all the presenter for their informative and interesting to the audience. And then also thank you for your participation. We hope that this presentation will be beneficial for everybody. And summary, let me summarize this. this innovation is limitless, and PERTAABI will be accompanying you to reach out another innovation. I think that's the summary for me. Thank you for your attention. Good afternoon. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Mbak Anissa.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Mbak Anissa, I will give it back to you for photo session. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you so much, Edwan. Thank you so much, Mr. Darryl and Pa Ahmad, for the sharing session. Well, it was such an interesting views, ideas, and sharing about wheel innovations, especially. And thank you for bringing us to a very productive session today. It was interesting. And before we moved on, I would like to remind you to fill the attending forms that has been shared by Pak Tommy on our WhatsApp group, as well as probably it'll be shared again in our Zoom chat box. I'm afraid if some people are still not there in the WhatsApp group. If you please, Pak Tommy, help us, it'll be great. Okay, thank you. And also at the end of the sessions, we have a survey for all participants to be filled up. And it will also share at the chat box perhaps, or will it be sent at the WhatsApp group? And then now, I would like to also read the announcement that I have been told you at the beginning of the sessions today for the participants. The 3 winners for the best questions. I hope that you're all excited, because I'm excited. The winners will get the prize of GoPay credits, 200,000 for each. And the winners are Bapak Rosmana Eko Saputra from PT Vale Indonesia, Bapak Edi Santoso from Trakindo, Bapak Muhammad Fikri Al-Ayubi from PT Buma. Congratulations to our winners. And we will reach you out right after this webinar session. So stay tuned. And then, ladies and gentlemen, time flies and it's time for us to say goodbye. And here we are at the end of today's webinar session. Before farewell, once again, thank you so much to all participants for joining us in today's discussion. Innovation is limitless. Thank you so much once again to Mr. Darryl, Pa Ahmad, Pa Roman,
You're welcome.
and Edwan to be involved in today's sharing session. And on behalf of PERTAABI, we would like to say thank you for your active participation today. Hopefully, we're going to see you again in the second round of the international workshop one day. I am Anissa Kustiwa. I'm off like a prawn in the sun. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Good day.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you, Darryl.
Thank you, Pak Edwan. Thank you, Pak Tommy. Thank you,
Thank
Pak
you.
Ahmad.
Thank you, Darryl.
Thank you.